Hello everybody! Today we're going to start something very fun. The final case of the Wright trilogy. I am super excited to get into it. But real quick, I'm just going to do some stuff real quick. There we go. Here we go. Perfect. Let's get into it, shall we? Good morning! Oh? Are you by yourself? Morning, Pearls. Mr. Nick, please tell me what's going to happen to Mystic Maya! I'm sorry. We don't know yet. The investigation is still going on, so I wasn't allowed into the inner temple. Oh, I see. So, is Sister Iris still trying to remove those trick locks in the training hall? No. She's the defendant in this case, so she can't be at the inner temple. She's required to be here in court. Then how come she's not here in the defendant's lobby? I have to admit, it's kinda strange. If you're looking for Iris, she's in the prosecutor's lobby. Oh, thought it was, Godot. If you're looking for Iris, she's in the prosecutor's lobby. At Edgeworth. What's Iris doing over there? She's going over today's testimony with the prosecutor as we speak. Today's testimony? You heard me. Iris is going to be testifying as a witness for the prosecution. Wait, what? The prosecutor is squeezing her for a confession. Or so I heard. Franziska von Carmo. I know what you're thinking, but Franziska isn't going to be the prosecutor today. What? Then who is? Who else would it be but Godot? Godot? Franziska is engaged in some important work at the Sacred Cavern. The Sacred Cavern? You don't mean that she's... Exactly. She has been out there all night trying to remove those trick locks. With the head nun's assistance, naturally. We estimate that the last of the locks should be taken care of in about 3 hours. I hope everything continues to go smoothly and we receive some good news soon. Yeah. Thanks, Edgeworth. Prosecutor Godot intends to nail this case shut today. Be prepared to fight like there's no tomorrow. You don't have to tell me that. Touche. I can already see it in your eyes. You're not the same fever-ridden, frantic maniac you were yesterday. It's strange. On the way here, I decided that today would be the end of all this. Almost immediately after I made that decision, I felt myself getting stronger. Interesting. Maybe you passed your cold on to someone else. Literally. And with that, I leave the rest in your capable hands. Partner. I wonder what former partner he is there. Thanks. They love each other so much. I still don't have answers for most of the riddles plaguing this case. Circumstances around the murder of Miss Elise Denim. No, I mean Miss Misty Fey. The impossible flight Larry claims to have seen. Turn the fucking paper upside down, come on. And what that woman is really after. I will solve them all and bring this whole tragedy to an end. If If only Larry had drawn all the flames going up instead of both ways, this whole thing would have been solved immediately. Hi, kiddo. Court is now in session for the trial of Iris of Hazakura Temple. Your Honor? What are you... Who? Me? Well, my little brother came to visit me in my chambers earlier this morning. All of a sudden, in the blink of an eye, he developed a scorching fever and fainted. Therefore, I'll be standing in for him. I see, Your Honor. So they're brothers. That explains a lot. My poor brother. He looked a bit pale, not to mention sad that he couldn't be here. It is impossible to predict what the future has in store for any of us. This is precisely why people feel the need to judge the past. And we of the court have been charged with the solemn duty of passing such judgment. Well said, Mr. Cadeau. I understood exactly what you said. At least up until the end, anyway. Now then, Mr. Cadeau, please proceed with your opening statement. Humans are fragile, fickle beings. Our hearts change with the shifting of the tides. There's only one thing that remains a constant in this crazy world. Coffee. The bitter darkness that lies at the bottom of this mug. So then you mean, forget it. What do you mean? During yesterday's trial, the accused refused to admit her role in the crime. But today, she has had a change of heart. Sister Iris of Hazakura Temple has a confession to make. Confession? The defendant? Iris. Why didn't she discuss this with me first? I'm her defense attorney. I mean, technically Edgeworth is, but he passed it on to me. Very well. This court will now hear the defendant's confession. Upon meeting a beautiful lady, always ask for her name and profession. That's one of my rules.
My name is Iris. I am but a simple nun undergoing training at Hazakura Temple.
Witness, is there something that you want to confess to?
Yes, but first I want to apologize to Mr. Wright. I can't continue lying to everyone anymore.
It's alright. What is it?
Mr. Wright, I have to admit that I did play a part in this terrible incident.
Are you actually confessing? Are you saying that you were the one who murdered Mr. Lee Stonim?
No, I'm not, Your Honor. But I dealt with the cover-up after the murder took place. After her spirit left, I took the lifeless shell of Mystic Elise and carried it to the Hazakura Temple courtyard where I desecrated it.
What? Order in the court. Order! Witness, are you saying you were an accomplice to the murder? That is exactly what she's saying.
Yes, that's correct.
What? 3 minutes in court and I'm already covered in a cold sweat. Everyone on the planet is an accomplice to something. What does that mean? It just happens to be that in this case, it's to murder. Isn't that right, Mr. Trite? That Godot! So this is the confession they were conferring about. It pains me to say this, but it looks like Iris's testimony was all a lie. Crumpled up and shoved into a pocket. Now then, little lady, if you don't mind, I've got a question for you. Whose crime were you trying to cover up by your actions? Iris was covering for someone? Now I'm definitely up the creek without a paddle. Or a life jacket.
I've been at Hazakura Temple ever since I was a little girl. Hazakura Temple is run by one of the branch families of the Kurain tradition. One of our missions is to protect the main family.
I'm sorry, but main family? We dealt with all this last year during, Maya's other case.
Yes, and that's why I would dirty myself if need be to protect her. The daughter of the Kurain, the master of the Kurain channeling technique, Mystic Maya Fey.
Huh? Oh, so they are pinning it on her. In her absence? Wake up and smell the coffee, Trite. She's naming Maya? Well, yeah, you saw the name on the thing. Order. Order in the court! So not only did you witness the murder, you know the name of the murderer.
I'm terribly sorry, but it's true. I saw her commit the crime with my very own eyes, and then I cleaned up the area to try to protect her.
Objection!
That's ridiculous. Maya could never do such a... The defense will refrain from commenting until the appropriate time. Now, witness, let's hear your testimony. What exactly happened on the night of the crime?
Yes, Your Honor.
I thought I was prepared for the unexpected, but I never imagined the case would wind up going in this direction. I mean, Maya's been suspected multiple times before, so you should really be accustomed to this at this point. Okay.
I went to the inner temple that night and saw it all happen in the garden. I saw Mystic Elise strike Mystic Maya with her staff. While Mystic Maya was still stumbling, Mystic Elise moved in to deliver a fatal strike. Mystic Maya tried desperately to defend herself and stole the weapon. It was only in self-defense. You can't blame her for it.
So it was in self-defense.
Yes, Mystic Elise was the one who attacked first. That's why I tried my best to protect Mystic Maya.
You moved the victim's body to the temple so that Maya wouldn't be suspected. Isn't that right? Not bad. You got the instincts of a true criminal. Something's not quite right. I'm sure it was established yesterday that Iris never went to the inner temple that night, and that the person who did go was that woman. Iris even admitted it. Now then, Mr. Wright, please proceed with your cross-examination.
Let's see, what's suspicious here? This is...
She moved in to deliver a fatal strike.
Yes, I'm sure of it. She threw down her staff and reached into her robe for a weapon.
Wait a minute. What was this weapon?
It was some kind of dagger.
A dagger, huh? And Elise Donim tried to stab her with this weapon. To kill Miss Faye.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, this time we do have a leg up. You look like I did after I mistakenly took a swig of Worcestershire sauce.
How do you pronounce that?
Do you have a problem with that testimony we're hearing from your client, lawyer boy? You know my name. Do I have a problem? One thing. Okay, Your Honor, I have a small problem with the witness's testimony. You do? But this witness is your own client. Yes, well, nevertheless. That's fine. Witness, let's add your last statement to the testimony.
Yes, sir.
Hey, just a moment. It's my job to say that. Listen, Gramps. I won't say it again. Final judgment will be rendered by me. Okay, now, let's continue.
Uh-huh.
Objection!
Sister Iris, there's something strange about your version of events.
Huh?
Miss Donim throwing her staff away makes no sense at all to me.
But all you can do with the staff is hit someone.
Naturally, you wouldn't know this, Sister Iris, but the victim's staff had a special feature about it. As you can see, it's a sword. If Elise Donim really had wanted to kill Maya Fey, she wouldn't have needed to use a separate dagger. Not when she already had a beautiful blade in her hands already. A Indeed. Well, Sister Iris, what do you have to say?
Objection!
Great. That was an impressive bit of investigating, Trite. I never would have thought there was a sword hidden in that staff. But even so, how should I put this? A long sword is unwieldy and thus quite ineffective in close quarters combat. Maybe that's why she chose a dagger over her blade. Well... Anyway, the type of weapon she chose to use isn't what's important. The important thing is that she tried to kill Maya Fey. As long as there's nothing strange about that, there's no problem with her testimony. But there is something strange about this whole testimony. Well, Mr. Wright, the prosecution has a point. Very well, Your Honor. The defense will now present evidence to back its argument. Mr. Wright, I have here another piece of evidence that shows that this testimony can't be trusted. Because Miss Alista Nim would never attempt to take the life of Maya Fey, because she's her daughter. There we go. Take that! Alista Nim would never have attacked Maya Fey. How can you be so sure? Because the victim's real name was not Alista Nim. Her real name was Misty Fey. Fey? Ah! No! Not Misty Fey. Who is this Misty Fey? Is she related to... Misty Fey is the master of the Curian channeling technique. She's also the mother of Maya Fey. Are you serious? Is it really true? Mr. Wright. That is a Dahlia expression right there. Was Alista Nim actually the great mystic Misty? There's no doubt about it. Looks like Iris had no idea. I can hardly believe it. The idea that she would try to kill her only daughter, one she hadn't seen in 17 years. Perhaps the prosecution can offer some explanation for why she would do such a thing. Boosh. Order! Order in the court! Upon first hearing the witness's testimony, it seemed natural enough. However, in light of some facts that have just been presented, one, that the victim supposedly threw away a sword during a fight, and two, that the two bad people battling to the death were mother and daughter, despite the facts being believable when taken on their own, when taken together, the entire story seems difficult to believe. Listen, there's nothing in this world that is impossible, except for one little thing. Yes, what is this one little impossible thing? You still don't get it. You think maybe my beans are under-roasted, but you have no idea, Cramps. What does this mean? Could you get to your point? I heard this witness's confession this morning, just as I had taken the first sip of my 8th cup of morning coffee. He runs on Duncan. You're going to ruin your health, my friend. Anyway, after hearing this woman's confession, I had a detective who loves to investigate sent to the scene of the crime. And he discovered this little beauty. Is that the dagger the witness testified to seeing? Obviously, Your Honor. But do you not notice something else? Now that you mention it, if you look closely, there appears to be blood on it. Closely? It's literally covering the entire tip. Where did you find that? I didn't see that when I investigated the crime scene. Did you investigate the pine tree at the crime scene? Damn it! Huh? The pine tree? This dagger was stuck in the back side of the pine tree. When the last blow was struck, ending the violent battle between the two women, this little baby was thrown in the direction of the back of the pine tree. Which means the blood on this dagger belongs to the victim, correct? Are you even listening, old man? I first heard this confession this morning, just as I had taken the first sip of my 13th cup of morning coffee. He just keeps adding more coffee. Didn't you say it was your 8th just a few minutes ago? I didn't have enough time to get the blood analyzed on such short notice. In any case, the court will accept the dagger as evidence. Furthermore, I order that a blood test be performed on it immediately. This is my sweetheart. Make sure you treat her right. Bailiff, get this piece of evidence to the crime lab for testing immediately. Now then, the testimony we just heard had numerous unbelievable aspects to it. However, after having found the very dagger the witness spoke of, I believe we can consider her testimony to be credible. Cute girls never lie. Ever. You sure about that? In any case, witness, if you could please testify again to this court.
About what, Your Honor?
About the incident you saw. The battle between the two women.
Yes, Your Honor. Mystic Maya stumbled briefly off after being hit over the head with the staff, but then she dodged Mystic Elise's next attack and stole her weapon. Suddenly, Mystic Elise was the one on the defensive with her back to the stone lantern. That's when Mystic Maya stabbed Mystic Elise. Mystic Elise managed to fling the knife away, but then she collapsed.
Let me check this autopsy report again. Where is it? Stab in the back, yeah. That was a very heartbreaking story.
I don't know if there was any bad feelings between them, but it had been 17 years since Mystic Misty's disappearance. Perhaps they simply didn't recognize each other anymore.
That seems reasonable. I mean, she did have the talisman on her. Maya would have recognized that. Now then, Mr. Wright, proceed with your cross-examination. The battle.
Look at this autopsy report.
Objection!
Something about you just isn't right today, Iris.
Huh?
Until now, I didn't think you were the type to make such a careless mistake. However, the testimony you just gave contains quite a few contradictions.
What do you mean? What's so wrong about my testimony?
According to you, Maya Fey stabbed the victim while she had her back to the stone lantern, correct?
Yes, that's right.
But in that case, the victim would have been stabbed in the stomach, right? Yes, I think so. But, according to the autopsy report, the cause of death was due to blood loss from a stab wound in her back. This proves that the victim was stabbed from behind, not from the front. Sister Iris, it appears another seed of doubt has sprouted from your testimony. Shh. What? What is the meaning of this, Mr. Wright? It's simple. People are like books. You've all got a front and a back. Get my drift? Is that all you have to say? I can also say that darkness loves to play with the human mind.
Objection!
Could you please knock it off with the cheesy proverbs and illogical metaphors already? The point is, too much of this testimony just doesn't make sense. Throwing away a useful staff, the people fighting being mother and daughter, and now she falsely claims the victim was stabbed in the stomach. There certainly are some inconsistencies. Well, Iris, how about it?
Well, it's just...
If you ask me, you're just being too naive about the whole thing. What do you mean? There are 253 distinct types of bitterness in coffee, but to pick out each one requires total concentration and the use of all of the senses. Were you really concentrating on what this witness actually said? Prosecutor Godot, explain yourself. The witness was quite unambiguous about her own ambiguities when she said that the garden was dark and she couldn't see clearly. A human needs one thing to see clearly, and that is light. Light. By the way, did you know Hazakura has a rule that on nights when an acolyte is at the inner temple training, the stone lantern in the garden must be kept lit. Oh, okay. I did wonder what that stone lantern was there for. Well, if that's true, shouldn't the witness have been able to see the crime more clearly? Normally, yes, Your Honor. But according to the head nun's sister Bikini, on the night of the crime, it was impossible to light that stone lantern. Impossible? Impossible! It hadn't been used in a long time, and the wick was no good. In other words, it had to have been nearly pitch black in the garden that night. There could have been a faint light coming from the training hall, but that's all. Most enlightening. If they knew they were going to have a visitor, why wouldn't they have replaced the wick? Yes, that illuminating fact has chased all the contradictions away. If the staff was dropped, it would be difficult to see. It also explains why they didn't recognize each other. We can't see the demons that lurk in the night. That's why humans are weak. Isn't that right, trite? No! That makes literally no sense. Order! 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 Here, Your Honor. Let me present the stone lantern into evidence. Maybe it will rekindle the flame of truth in your mind. Hey, remember during Recipe for Turnabout when you couldn't see the blood on, Maggie's, or rather, Viola's apron? Why is the judge just sitting there with that look on his face? What's wrong, Your Honor? Was that flame too hot? This lantern, there's something written on it. Why, it's written in blood. Oh boy. So the judge didn't know about that yet. Written in blood? It says Maya upside down. What the?
Oh, yes, that's right. After being cornered and then stabbed by Mystic Maya, Mystic Elise didn't fall down right away. She must have been writing that on the stone lantern behind her, with the blood that was draining out of her body.
Well, could she have used the back and then... Wow. It certainly looks that way. Hang on just a minute. What are you all talking about? What do you mean, what are we all talking about? We're talking about the message written in blood. Nonsense. This lantern, it's as clean as a whistle. Could it be? He can't see the bloody writing at all? Now I think of it, he did say something to me yesterday. My eyesight is pretty messed up. Even with these huge goggles on my head, I still can't see everything. And remember during Recipe for Turnabout? So that's what he meant by that. In any case, this is obviously an important clue. We now know that the scene of the crime scene was dark, and that the victim scrawled this message on the stone lantern. Well, Mr. Godot, anything further? Mr. Godot? Okay then. Let's move on. Godot was literally shaking, and somehow I don't think it's from caffeine overdose. I believe it has now been established that Miss Donim was killed by Maya Fey. That's just wrong! Now it's time to turn our attention to you, sir. After the victim died, you did something, didn't you? Let's hear it. We're all ears.
Sister Iris's cover-up. After Mystic Elise died, I called out to Mystic Maya. I thought it was my duty to protect the future master of the Kurain tradition, so I removed the body from the inner temple by myself. I dragged it behind me all the way across Dusky Bridge. Then I used the snowmobile to carry it back to Hazakura Temple and... I used the Shishido to alter the way the wound looked.
Uh-huh. So you moved the body.
Yes, I was raised at Hazakura Temple. I owe a great deal of thanks to the Fae clan. But even so, I never imagined that Elise Donim was actually Misty Fae. I've committed a terrible sin.
A terrible trick of fate. I believe you're looking for twist of fate, Your Honor.
I intended to return to the inner temple after taking care of the body, but...
Hi. You were spotted by the head nun, correct?
Yes, and that's why I couldn't go back.
Your story makes sense, I suppose. Mr. Wright, go ahead with your cross-examination. Yes, Your Honor. Okay, wait. The snowmobile. I knew that would show up sooner or later.
Yes, I had the key. I used the snowmobile to travel from Hazakura Temple to Dusky Bridge.
This is the part that was in question the other day. Should I ask for more details? About the tracks. If you really did move her body by snowmobile, then there should be tracks left in the snow, right?
Well, yes, naturally, you would expect tracks.
This picture was presented at yesterday's trial. Are these the tracks from that ride?
Yes, I think they are.
But I can only see one set of tracks here.
I don't see what's so strange about that. Snow was still falling when I left Hazakura Temple.
I see. Snow was still falling, huh?
And when the murder took place, it had already stopped. That's why there are such fresh-looking tracks.
How about it, Mr. Wright? What do you think about this testimony? It's very important. Because I know for a fact that the weather report says otherwise. When the murder took place, the snow had already stopped? That doesn't make sense if you stack it up against the other evidence. Your Honor, I'd like this statement Iris just made added to the testimony. But does it have something to do with the case? All will be made clear if you allow her statement to be added to the record. This should be fun. Sniff. You. Let's get this snow business cleared up, shall we?
Yes, sir. By the time the murder took place, the snow had already stopped. Where's that weather report?
Here we go. Your Honor, wrong one. That didn't go so well. Here we go. Here we go. You claim that the snow had already stopped when the murder occurred. But I'm sorry, Iris. That just isn't possible. What? This is the weather data from the night of the murder. According to this, the snow didn't stop until 10:50 p.m. But you couldn't have crossed Dusky Bridge at that time.
Why do you say that?
Because 5 minutes before the snow stopped, Dusky Bridge was struck by lightning and had caught on fire.
What did you say? The bridge. It was on fire?
You don't mean to say you didn't know about it. It was because of that lightning strike that the bridge burned down.
What? But it can't be.
It looks like you still haven't figured it out. No matter how hard you try to deceive or conceal the truth, you can't pull the wool over the eyes of a real defense attorney.
No!
Order! 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 The bridge was already on fire when the incident took place. That's right. The inner temple was already totally cut off from the outside world. There's no way you could have crossed the bridge, body or no body. Witness, even my patience has its limits. Any further lying and I will find you in contempt of court. Like you shouldn't already be prosecuting her for perjury. Persecuting, I think. Yeah. Do you have anything to say for yourself?
Objection!
The only person here that is truly contemptible is you. Old man. Me? How dare you! Whether this witness lied or not doesn't mean squat right now. Squat? The important thing now is to find out the truth. Isn't that right? Yes, of course, but whether it was snowing or not snowing, or whether the bridge was burning or not, there are two facts that can't be disputed. First, the body of Alisto Nim was discovered in the Hazakor Temple courtyard. And second, the head nun, Sister Bikini, witnessed Iris desecrating Alisto Nim's body. He makes a good point, on both accounts. That's right. I'm not lying. What are you claiming this time? I wasn't myself at all that night, so my memory is still somewhat hazy. I wasn't myself at all that night, huh? Sure. You have stood at that witness stand and testified this entire time. Are you telling us now that your memory of that night is hazy?
Objection!
It is only human to err. If you're so perfect, Wright, maybe you can explain this for the court. What is it? When the murder happened, the bridge had already burnt down. But somehow, the body traveled across the bridge and was found in the temple courtyard. Perhaps you have some kind of perfect explanation for this little magic trick? Well, not exactly, no. I know there must be some other way she got across that burnt-out bridge, but unless I can somehow demonstrate it, we'll never know the truth. Boosh! Flip it upside down, and you're good. It looks like the defense is not prepared to offer a suitable explanation. You see what I mean? In other words, you're in no position to suggest that this lady's testimony isn't the truth. Great. All right then. Witness, let's hear your testimony once more. About what, Your Honor? You've admitted that you moved the victim's body. Nevertheless, your prior testimony contained a rather large inconsistency. Please add an explanation for that to your testimony. Yes, Your Honor. Will this be her final testimony? The guide I'm looking at says no. This one's gonna be long. Whoa. Other than walking over the bridge, there's no way to move the body. So I must have just gotten confused, I guess. Was the snow still falling, or had it stopped? Does it really matter that much? Or are you saying that there's a way to cross the burning bridge? Finally, Larry's useful for something. So it's just a misunderstanding, I see. This is a photo of Dusky Bridge after it burned down from the lightning blast. It was taken on the morning after the incident. There's a rope tied to the middle. I wonder why. It was certainly burned to a crisp, and one of the suspension wires even snapped. It's amazing the whole bridge didn't fall. Clearly, it would be impossible to carry a corpse across a bridge in this condition. Unless I do something to discredit this testimony, it's going to be deemed as the truth, and Maya will be accused of murder. Right. I'm only going to say it one more time. It is only human to err, and only humans can spot the errors of our ways. The more sense he makes, the less sense he makes. All right, Mr. Wright, please begin your final cross-examination. Quote-unquote. Other than walking over the bridge, there's no way to move the body. Sure. A dead body flying over a burning bridge. I wouldn't exactly rule out the possibility. What? You're saying it's possible? Don't make me laugh. The only thing that's possible about your claims is that it's been pulled out of thin air. I don't know about that. In any case, we have a witness who did see it happen. Preposterous! That was fun. Who is it? Who is this witness? I can't chicken out here. I've got to keep on the attack and go, go, go! Miss Elise Denim's brilliant and highly gifted apprentice, Maurice Denim. Brilliant? Highly gifted? Apprentice? Remember what he said in his testimony. That night, he was at the Mountain Shack, Heavenly Hall, and that's when he witnessed the event. I love the 2 soda cans, 2 oranges, I think? Open bag of chips and magazine. I think you've all seen this sketch before. Boosh. It's an exact drawing of what he witnessed that night. Are you serious? Today's not April Fool's Day, is it? Mr. Wright, are you seriously claiming that the victim flew through the air? A couple months too early, Judge. And you're using this pathetic scribble to support your argument. Uh-oh, the judge looks like he's about to blow a gasket. Well, Trite, there's nowhere for you to hide now. Other than looking like it was drawn by a 6-year-old, does this sketch prove anything? Yes, I'm pretty sure it does, and I'm going to prove it. Listen, I know your tricks. You're trying to turn this whole thing upside down. If you're so eager to turn this case upside down, why not start with this sketch? Upside down? Why did Godot say that? Because he knows your tricks. Alright then, let's hear the defense's theory. What exactly is this sketch trying to show? I don't think old Whiskerface is going to forgive any more mistakes. Alright, Phoenix, look carefully and think it over. This sketch drawn by Maurice Denim is exactly what happened. Of course the victim was flying through the air. You can see it right there in the sketch! Whoosh! You know, you're starting to remind me of yesterday's witness. What, that was the last thing I wanted to hear. Oh, do you have any... that, just so you know... Aw, man. I wish I had. Even if you're a lousy lawyer, at least you're worth one cup's worth of entertainment. Am I gonna go through all that again? Great. Objection! Let me just zoom on through this. That's why I believe this sketch shows the truth. What exactly is this sketch trying to show? Alright, Phoenix. Sketch drawn by Maurice Denim is a complete contradiction. Something is obviously funny about this sketch. I'm no art critic, but even I can see that. I went to art school, so you can trust me. No, that's not what I mean, Your Honor. Maurice Denim stated it over and over that the sketch was exactly as he saw it. However, if we're to believe his testimony, then the sketch contradicts reality as we know it. It contradicts reality? Huh. This is getting interesting. Looks like you're back to that finger-pointing thing again. Okay, Trite. So what exactly contradicts reality as we know it? Obviously her! She's flying! This flying figure, naturally! After all, people haven't learned to fly yet. Or did I miss something? Anyway, go check out, whatever. Mr. Wright, that answer just now, it was lethal. Mr. Wright, after dragging us all the way to this point, that answer was embarrassing. It was so embarrassing, I'm actually blushing. Blushing only suits women, not the elderly. Okay. Point to something else. Oh! Okay, that makes sense. The sketch is exactly as he saw it. However, if we're to believe this testimony, the support wire should be on the bottom and not the top, because it's not a suspension bridge. Take that! It's this wire connected to the bridge. The wire? Huh. Is that the thing that contradicts reality? It is indeed. Then show us the reality it supposedly conflicts with. Show us something that will point out how the sketch contradicts reality. Take that! That's a photo of Dusky Bridge, correct? Yes. Now compare the sketch and the photo for a minute. In the sketch, the wires appear to be above the guard wires. However, on the actual Dusky Bridge, jumping Jehoshaphat, the wires are below the guard wires. What? What? Order, order, order! This sketch is somewhat different than what's depicted in the photo. Literally turn it upside down. Guys, you could have done that in the first place and not had to do all of this. However, isn't it likely that the artist just saw it wrong? Or perhaps he just drew it wrong? Either way, it sounds like you're just wrong. My name is Wright, not wrong. With someone like Laurice, I admit a mistake is a definite possibility. But then that begs the question, why did he make a mistake? What was the reason? Are you saying you know the answer to that? Listen, think back, alright? Remember what Laurice was doing when he witnessed the event. He was at Heavenly Hall waiting for a lover that was never going to come. He waited and waited, and finally he laid down. But then, lightning shoots from the sky and sets the bridge aflame. Now ponder what sort of position Laurice must have been at the time. You can take that out of context any way you want. He was lying on his back, which is why he remembered the scene the way he did. He was lying on his back? I can't see how that relates. But it does, Your Honor. That is the reason why the wires in the sketch go up instead of down. Ah! No way. Laurice Donim witnessed the event while he was lying on his back, face up. In other words, the scene that he saw was actually upside down. By Jack Johnson. Good song. So then, this sketch should actually... I think you finally get it, Your Honor. The correct way to view Laurice Donim's sketch is like this. Boosh. This is how it should actually look. If only he drew the flames rising up completely, or down. The victim's body wasn't flying above the bridge, it was actually swinging below. That's right, just like a pendulum. Ridiculous! He keeps spit-taking with his coffee, and it's very funny. Objection. Order, order, order! Of all the things to say, a pendulum? The bridge was burning to a crisp, there was no way to cross it. But if the body had been found at the inner temple, it would have caused problems. This is where the criminal decided to take a gamble. They used the burning bridge to get the body across to the other side, and a pendulum was the only way to get it done. Objection. Let's think about this for a minute, shall we? Dusky Bridge is about 20 yards long, which means it's about that far from the inner cliff temple to the opposite cliff. Yes, that sounds right. In order to cover that distance with a pendulum, you need a rope at least 10 yards long. To get a rope that long, you have to plan ahead. The lightning strike that night can only have been an accident. So it doesn't make sense that the culprit would have prepared the rope beforehand. So then... they didn't have to get the rope ready? The rope was already right in front of them. What? I'm saying that it was just a matter of using what was already there. In that case, Mr. Wright, please give us an explanation to support your theory. What makes you think the criminal had the rope on hand to create a pendulum? This photo again. Because one of the support wires broke. And the meaning of this is... if you want to know where the rope came from, it's hanging right there in front of your glorious beard. Ah! This is one of the wires from the bridge. When the lightning struck the bridge and set it on fire, one of the suspension wires came loose from its anchor. The criminal didn't have any time to waste, so they tied the wire around Elise Donim's body and swung her! Whee! Woo! That's fun. Because there was simply no other way to move the body. Ha! Glug, 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 glug. Sippy, sippy, sippy. Downing an entire cup. Mr. Godot? It seems that Mr. Godot is more focused on his coffee than answering my question. It seems that the odds of a rope being readily available were very high, so I suppose that it's not an impossibility after all. Objection. Possible or impossible? That's not the question we need to ask. There's only one question. Did that really happen? Trite. I wonder if you can prove what happened to us. Do you have any actual evidence the body was swung like a pendulum? I mean, her, autopsy report, I guess. Before I present my evidence, let me review what we know so far. According to this photo, one of the wires snapped. Looking at the map, we can see it's the one that was in front of the inner temple. So then, that was the spot where the criminal... Yes, precisely. Now let us consider the body's movement by looking at the overhead map again. If the body was pushed from this point here... Whee! It would drop on the opposite bank at approximately this point. Did you say drop? Well, they must have failed to catch the body on the other bank. What makes you think something like that happened? Because I have evidence that suggests her body dropped some distance. What kind of evidence? Take a look at this autopsy report. It says here that her body fell about 10 feet after her death. 10 feet, huh? That's the radius of 20 feet. That's most likely the height difference between the two sides. The body overswung due to forward momentum but then came loose and fell about 10 feet. And then, as a result of the landing impact, this crystal sphere was knocked loose. Yes, this blood-stained amethyst crystal. It's the one that came off of Miss Alisto Nim's staff. You could say Misty Faye. And even more important is the place where this crystal sphere was found. Indeed, I believe it's already marked on this overhead map. The crystal was found... Precisely, Your Honor. In the very spot where the pendulum would arrive if given the right amount of speed. Boosh. There we go. This explains your theory quite well, Mr. Wright. You have provided us with a way the body could have been moved that night. An impressive deduction, Mr. Wright. Most impressive. Mr. Wright! God damn it, Godot. I thought this cold coffee might help cool you down. What is the meaning of this, Mr. Godot? That was a dark and bitter guess that you made, Trite. But you forgot about one thing. Oh? And what would that be? The aroma. Huh? The coffee's most reliable accomplice is its deep and profound aroma. The rest of the court doesn't speak coffeenese. Can you elaborate a little more? If the criminal had sent the body to the other side like you say, then naturally there must have been an accomplice lying in wait to catch it. And I think a floral scent best describes the aroma of this coffee, Godot. An accomplice? The criminal wasn't able to cross Dusky Bridge, so who collected the body? What do you have to say about that, Trite? Mr. Godot is correct. This can't be the work of a single person. Well, Mr. Wright, you know what you must do. Yes, Your Honor. The body couldn't have made it to Hazakura Temple without an accomplice. Very well then. If you please, Mr. Wright. Who was the person that received the body on the Hazakura Temple side? It was Iris. She caught the body. Take that! There we go. It can only be you, Sister Iris. Huh? But I don't see why you're so surprised. The only way to transport the body from Dusky Bridge is by snowmobile. But with her bad back, Sister Bikini could never pick up a body like that. You're the only one that could have managed it. Trite. Were you even listening to the witness's testimony? On the night of the crime, this little cutie pie was on cleanup duty in the inner temple garden after the mother-daughter bloodbath. I haven't forgotten. But have you, Mr. Godot? This witness was also seen at Hazakura Temple, desecrating the corpse of the victim. Strange indeed. It's almost as if On that night, the defendant was in 2 different places at the same time. Sister Iris, let me ask you something. Why didn't you mention it when you first gave your testimony?
Mention what?
The pendulum, of course. Using the sketch drawn by an eyewitness, I have established how the body was moved using the burnt-out bridge, which means it's now a fact that this occurred, something you should have already known.
No, I had no idea. I didn't know anything about a pendulum.
But the body couldn't have been passed along to the other side without your help, so you should have about it. In fact, it'd be impossible for you to be clueless about this whole thing. Unless you're not really Iris to begin with.
What? How can you say that, Mr. Wright?
Because you're acting very out of character.
What? What nonsense is this? You're saying this witness isn't Iris of Hazakura Temple?
Objection!
Are you serious, Trite? You mean this woman is... There's no one besides Iris that could have received the corpse that night. Now I get it. Now I know why I've been sick to my stomach this whole trial. Why her whole demeanor changed so suddenly from yesterday. And why she's trying to pin this murder on Maya. The woman that's standing there at the witness stand. Her real name is...
Take that!
I never thought I'd have to utter your name again. Let alone see you. It's been a long time, Dahlia Hawthorne.
Hawthorne?
Sister Iris had a twin sister. And you're looking at her, Miss Dahlia Hawthorne.
That name rings some bells. Distant bells, but bells nonetheless.
Ha! It's just your imagination, Gramps. This file contains all the relevant data about Dahlia Hawthorne.
Oh yes, I remember now. That case 5 years ago. My name is Dahlia Hawthorne. I just want to say, it's an honor for me to be here in your noble presence. The honor is all mine.
Didn't expect to see phallic, hair again.
No, the honor is all mine.
Oh, I love that.
But according to this, Dahlia Hawthorne is already dead. Omaiwamu Shinderu. It says her execution was carried out last month.
So what? Death has no meaning in this courtroom.
What?
I mean, you are dealing with a case involving spirit mediums, so...
Order, order, order! Wait a moment, how can you... My sister, she's already dead. What kind of...
Objection!
You, of all people, should already understand. After all, the blood of the master of the Kurain channeling technique flows within that body.
The Kurain channeling technique? Now where have I heard that?
That's right. You're not Dahlia Hawthorne herself. You're the spirit of Dahlia, currently inhabiting the body of a spirit medium. What an exciting story. Exciting, but quite impossible. You're asking us to buy that Dahlia Hawthorne just happened to be channeled by someone on the very night of the murder to a temple where her twin sister Iris was. Well, if you're going to put things that way, then yes.
Objection!
We're supposed to believe a coincidence like that just happens.
Objection!
Naturally, it was no coincidence. The whole thing was part of a plan from the very beginning. It's all written right here in these instructions.
What's that?
These instructions were written by your mother, Morgan Fay. And part of the plan called for Dahlia Hawthorne to be channeled. That night, there were 2 irises at Hazakura Temple. 2 of them? Even the time of the channeling was planned out, as soon as you hear the lights out bell. In other words, 10 p.m. However, Iris was seen before dinner time.
That means the Iris that was at dinner was the real Iris.
And the Iris who gave me this hood in the main hall was also the real Iris. Meaning that the Iris Sister Bikini saw at the inner temple was someone else dressed as her, namely one Dahlia Hawthorne.
Objection!
Do you even know what you're saying, Trite? This whole channeling the spirit of Dahlia Hawthorne business. Yes, it's true that you found plans that talk about it. However, there's one thing that's perfectly clear. The witness currently standing in the witness stand is the real Iris. What? How do you know that? Calm down and remember what you know about the night of the crime. After meeting Sister Bikini, the Dahlia Hawthorne that had been channeled would have been stranded at the inner temple due to the lightning strike. Whee! It was later that the body was moved by the pendulum. That's right. Naturally, that would mean that the Iris that received the body was the real Iris. Are you with me so far? Yes. After being notified of what happened, the police came to Hazakura Temple's main hall. There they found Iris in her room and arrested her. And ever since, she's been under police supervision at the detention center. Yes, I suppose. I can't deny any of that.
Phew. Thank goodness. It looks like he's finally convinced.
But something still seems off. Way off. I mean, they were literally twin sisters. They look exactly the same, so I'm still not convinced that the Iris here is the same one from the other night. I suppose you were about to say something really ridiculous? I mean, that's my prerogative, so... Like the real Iris and the spirit of Dahlia somehow switched places. Switched places? To be perfectly honest, there are still quite a few things I don't understand, but I do know that unless we confirm the witness's identity, we can't continue with this trial. Iris doesn't have the spiritual power needed to channel Dahlia, which means they must have switched places somewhere. Well, Mr. Wright, I forget if channeling changes the eye color as well. I know it doesn't change the hair color. Since the time she was arrested at Hazakura Temple, have there been any chances for Iris to switch places with Dahlia Hawthorne? There was one. Your Honor, I think there might have been one chance. Oh? Explain yourself. Yesterday for a few minutes, Iris's whereabouts were unknown. Unknown? What do you mean? What I mean is, there was a span of time in which Iris was able to move about freely, unsupervised. Well, who was it? Who would give a murder suspect time to move about freely like that? As much as I hate to admit it, I'm sorry, I know you didn't mean to. It wasn't your fault. The person who gave Iris the chance to freely move about was...
Take that!
Miles Edgeworth. This is Mr. Edgeworth, isn't it? Your Honor, there was a fairly large earthquake yesterday, was there not? An earthquake? Earthquake! Oh my goodness, the inner temple! This kind of tremor might... How could I have... She fled. She escaped. We went to the inner temple right away. And it's true, Iris was already there. However, they had already switched places by that point in time. When I arrived at the training hall, I was met by none other than Dahlia Hawthorne. That's quite enough already, Mr. Wright. Now see here. No judge in his right mind would consider the idea of spirit channeling and... Be quiet. Hi, Dahlia. It's been a long time, Mr. Judge. That voice. Guess I'll have to ask again. Upon meeting a beautiful lady, always ask for her name and profession. That's one of my rules. And now they play her theme. Dahlia Hawthorne. And my current profession?
permanently retired.
So you're not going to bother hiding your identity anymore, huh?
Why should I? After all, I'm dead. There's really nothing you can do to punish me. What is going on here?
Dahlia Hawthorne, I never thought we'd meet again, and I never thought we'd meet like this. But this time, I'll end it. For her, and for myself.
To be continued. Right now. Let's keep this justice train a-rollin'.
Alright.
Now then, let's continue where we left off, shall we? Well, witness?
Yes, how can I help you, Mr. Judge?
Well, it seems that if we're to learn the truth, we'll need to hear your testimony.
I have no problem with that. But when you've seen what I have, sometimes the truth is better left unknown. But when you've seen what I have...
In any case, let's hear your testimony. Tell us about the plan that was carried out that night.
The whole plan began with my death. A stupid plan hatched by Morgan Fay to install her own daughter as the next master. But for it to work, Maya Fay would first have to die. The idea was for me to kill Maya and then have the blame pinned on Iris. The plan went wrong, but seems to have succeeded anyway.
Hold it!
Wait a minute! Did you just say the plan was to kill Maya Fay? Yes. You have a problem with that? Don't give us that nonsense. There's no way that... Watch yourself, trite. If you've got a problem, solve it during cross-examination. That's one of my rules.
But you're a prosecutor? Mr. Godot is correct. And by the way, that's one of my rules as well.
To kill Maya? Could it be true?
Alright, let's just press everything. I need more info about what the hell she's talking about.
Hold it!
Okay. You were executed last month, correct? Yes. I was hanged. It wasn't exactly pleasant. How did you manage to discuss the plan? When did you talk with Morgan Fay? Last year, she was transferred to the same detention center as me. Since I was on death row and she was my mother, it was actually pretty easy to meet with her.
I see. So that's when you discussed the plan.
Huh. Are you crazy? At first, that woman was planning to kill me as well, even though I'm her own daughter. We'll make Pearl Fay the master of Curain. She's a cold, twisted woman. She thought she could finally regain her lost honor. The honor she lost when her younger sister Misty took her place as the master. Ever since that day, she's been working on this plan.
A plan, huh?
Stupid plan hatched by Morgan Fay to install her own daughter as the next master. You were talking about Pearl Fay, is that correct? Yes, so at first she had high hopes for the two of us. You and your twin sister Iris. That's correct. Fortunately, neither of us had much spiritual power. That's why we were abandoned by her, along with our father.
Abandoned?
The only person I ever really cared about in life was myself. My sister was a nuisance, so I convinced my father to leave her at an old temple. You mean Iris? Yes, my father remarried a woman who also had a daughter. The less children you have, the more money there is to go around, right? Not to mention the two-child policy in the original setting. Or is that China? I forgot. It is China, okay. And on top of that, my father had absolutely no interest in children in general.
How horrible.
The really horrible one was that woman.
that bitter, vengeful woman. It was her stubbornness that gave birth to that child, Pearl Fay. She was born with an abundance of spiritual power, unfortunately for her. Morgan Fay had heaped all of her broken hopes and dreams onto that poor child's back, all because of her pathetic dreams of having her bloodline become the main family. Okay, wait. Maya would have to die? But why? For our bloodline to succeed as the main family, thus making Pearl the new master, the remaining descendants of the current master had to be taken care of.
Objection!
But Pearls would never agree to a plan like that! She adores Maya! How sad. You still don't get it, do you? What Pearl wanted had nothing to do with it. Morgan didn't care one bit about Pearl. The only thing she cared about was the position of the master. That's all. That's ridiculous. She was willing to sacrifice anything and anyone to achieve her goal. The life of her daughter, and naturally the life of Maya Fey as well. How could anyone do that? You were going to kill Maya? Pearl didn't need to know anything about it. All she had to do was to follow the instructions in the letter and channel me. Then I would have simply used her body and finished the job. In any case, I'm already dead, and there's nothing any of you can do to me. You can't arrest ghosts! Ha 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 ha! So the plan was to blame the crime on your younger twin. On Sister Iris of Hazakura Temple. She and I look absolutely identical. No one can tell us apart. If someone were to witness me killing Maya, naturally they would think it was Iris that had done it. And the witness in this case was the head nun, Sister Bikini. I never would have guessed she was going to return to Hazakura Temple that night. But she wound up seeing Iris's crime anyway. But why did you want to pin the murder on Iris in the first place? She's your twin sister, isn't she? Twin sister? Don't make me laugh. She's nothing but a backstabber. I couldn't care less about her. Backstabber? You just don't understand. You never will. Anyway. Okay, wait. You think the plan was a success? You heard me. Just as that woman had hoped. Maya Fey is dead. Now the title of the master will pass on to Pearl Fey.
Objection!
That's absurd. Maya is just... she's just trapped. Trapped inside the sacred cavern. Really? You're as foolishly optimistic as ever, aren't you? My darling Feeny. Don't you dare call me that. Do you want to know the truth? Ever since we met, I've despised you. Your sniveling naivete and your pathetic faith in other people. I just want to know one thing. What did you personally think of Morgan Fay's plan? I told you already, didn't I? It was a stupid plan. It had no point, no value other than fulfilling her own greedy desires. Yes, it was certainly nothing to be proud of. If that's how you feel, why did you help her carry it out? Why would you do it? Why would you kill Maya? You may not understand it, being the kind and gentle soul that you are. You may not be able to appreciate why someone like me would help a woman like that. So then tell me, why? Isn't it obvious? I'm not like that woman. I only act in my own self-interest. The reason I helped her was for myself. For my own personal satisfaction. What did you say? So this woman, Dahlia Hawthorne, she had her own reason for wanting Maya dead? Okay, wait. Do you understand why I would kill Maya Fey now? What my goal was?
Objection!
No? Oh! Shit. Right. Must be on the wrong track. To get revenge against Mia.
Objection!
Technically. Be that your actual goal had nothing to do with Maya Fey herself? As I said, none of you have the power to punish me anymore, because I'm already dead. Well, I had the same problem, you see. You can't punish the dead, and you can't take revenge against them either.
You wanted to take revenge on someone?
I was sentenced to die because of that woman, Mia Fey.
I somehow knew this was it. I wanted to send her a message. It was at her hands that I suffered my first humiliation. I wanted her to feel the same pain she made me feel. Sadly, when I realized revenge was impossible, I gave up. And the reason it was impossible? Was it perhaps because Mia Fey had already died?
Yes, and I realized there's only one way to take revenge against the dead.
And how do you do that?
Even when the body dies, the spirit, the ego, it lives on. Forever. I wanted to take away the person that Mia Fey loved most.
I wanted to kill her with my own hands. That would be the one and only way I could take my revenge against Mia Fey. That was the reason I helped out with that woman's plans. Just for that? For that you would kill Maya? Your goal was no different than that of Morgan Fey. As they say, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. What a cruel plan. Cruel, cold, and heartless.
Don't waste your time preaching to the dead. I've already told you, there's not a thing you can do to me. That night, at about 9:30 p.m., I materialized into this world. I quickly pinned my hair up and put on a demon warding hood. Then I picked up the staff that was by my side in the Tazakura temple.
So it was at least Onim who channeled her after all.
That ridiculous head nun never noticed a thing.
She left Maya Fey at the inner temple and wobbled back, clutching her poor old back. What did you do then? That kid was easier to handle than I had hoped.
I caught up with her in front of the stone lantern. Then I took out the dagger I got from the storeroom and...
So then you're saying you stabbed Maya?
It's strange, but I don't have a clear memory of what happened after that.
What does that mean? No clear memory?
I don't know. I think I was stabbed.
You were stabbed?
At the last minute, Maya Fey must have stabbed me. I'm sure of it.
Objection!
That's not like her at all. Maya wouldn't stab a French fry with a plastic fork.
Anyway, I suddenly lost consciousness, but before I did, I scrawled her name on the lantern. Just as I was passing out, I wrote Maya behind my back. I had hoped it would cast suspicion on her.
I can't believe she was thinking of that until the bitter end.
That's where my memory temporarily stops.
It stops? I wonder what happened.
I don't have any memory of actually killing Maya Fey with my own two hands. My very last memory was... Maya's terror-filled eyes. When I woke up after that, I was in the sacred cavern surrounded by darkness.
You were in the sacred cavern?
The entrance was sealed with one of those trick locks. Somehow I had been trapped in there.
But how did you wind up in there?
I'd like to know that myself. Anyway, I was worried. I didn't know whether or not Maya Fey was dead, and I swore I wouldn't return to the underworld until I knew I had killed her myself.
For a ghost, you're one tough cookie.
I wanted to get out of there and make sure she was dead, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't get out.
The trick lock stopped you, huh?
I didn't know how to remove it.
So then you're saying you were actually confined against your will inside this sacred cavern?
Yes, I wanted to get rid of that annoying lock as soon as possible, but it wasn't easy. I kept getting interrupted while I was working on it.
Interrupted?
It was early in the morning, but someone came into the training hall.
What? Who? Could it have been Maya?
I thought the same thing, but I couldn't see. Why not? If someone had spotted me, I would have lost my chance to take revenge. So I made sure to hide myself well at the back of the sacred cavern.
It was probably pearls with the gravy. That morning, only 2 people could have gone into the training hall. Maya and Pearls. Pearls went there to cover the hanging scroll in gravy.
Still, I finally managed to remove the lock, but I was too late.
What do you mean by that?
The flies had already started to gather.
The branch had been fixed and the police had started their investigation, correct?
Naturally, I couldn't go out. So instead, I returned to the cavern and put the lock back on myself. I realized I wouldn't get a chance to see Maya's corpse as I had hoped. But just then, Lady Luck showed up.
Lady Luck?
After that big earthquake, she showed up, all by herself.
The real Iris?
She said she'd come to make sure the sacred cavern was alright. Stupid girl. I came out from the sacred cavern and got a feel for the situation.
And I locked her away in my place.
I had finally learned exactly what had happened. It was then that I learned that the plan had actually succeeded.
What do you mean your plan had succeeded?
I had misunderstood one thing, you see. That night, the one that had summoned me, I had assumed that it was Pearl Fay.
Well, of course you would have assumed that. It was written in the instructions.
But I was wrong. The person that had actually called my spirit back was Misty Fay, the picture book author.
Oh, I love her theme. What?
Well, that's really the only possibility, isn't it? After I lost consciousness in the garden, it was her body that was left lying there. Maya Fay. I wasn't able to kill her with my own hands after all. But even so, I made her commit the most vile sin a human can commit. And that is matricide. The sin of killing her own mother.
No way!
Order in the court. What is the meaning of this? It's true that I was the one who attacked Maya Fay. But even so, the murderer who actually snuffed out Misty Fay's life was none other than your darling little Maya.
Ridiculous! That's nonsense.
Are you sure about that? Just think about it. There's even evidence supporting these facts, isn't there?
What? What do you mean? What is this so-called evidence?
The fact that Maya Fay has disappeared is evidence enough, isn't it?
Huh?
The idea that she's still in the sacred cavern is just ridiculous. She wasn't able to escape from the inner temple, that much is obvious. In that case, there's only one place she could be. Where? Do I have to spell it out? The bottom of the Eagle River. Where else?
Right here. Eagle River?
Maya Fay killed her long-lost mother. Can you imagine the guilt she must have felt when she realized that? That's why she threw herself into the Eagle River. Most bodies that wind up in there are lost forever.
So you say.
But you survived. So what do you have to say now? Feeny?
Oh. Aw.
His theme is his fucking ringtone, I love it!
Oops. Sorry, that's my phone. I love that this is like diegetic. What kind of ringtone is that? A good one. Godot here. Okay, thanks. What? Was it something important? They just finished removing the locks from the sacred cavern. That's great! What about Maya? There was a woman in the cave. Was it Maya Fay? It was the accused, Sister Iris.
Huh? Don't look so surprised. I locked her in there yesterday. I just finished telling you that.
So, what about Maya? Where is she? She's right here. You guys, think about it. There's no one else found inside the sacred cavern. No, it can't be.
I told you, didn't I? She's dead.
No. No!
Phoenix.
It seems that this case has come to an end. A tragic end. And sadly, the stream has come to an end. A tragic end. With this cliffhanger, I am going to leave you here. I very much apologize for this cliffhanger, but I swear we will get back to it at some point. Tomorrow. Maybe today, if I feel up to it. I will, indeed, finish it at some point. Most likely tomorrow. Actually. Anyway, see you guys next time.